to the gymnasium. And inside the gymnasium, we had 4 speakers. Jason was one of them. Bobby Stroop, who is sometimes known as Patrick Mahomes' trainer, he said he was going to change his name to Patrick Mahomes' trainer, because that's what everybody knows him as. But he kind of got up there and told the story of what they went through during the playoffs when Patrick got hurt, and how they responded to that, but also told the story of how important group activities are for kids, and bringing kids together in groups creates an incredible space and opportunity for kids to become more vulnerable and more open to suggestion and more engaged. And that's why he likes group training better than individual training. And he said parents, one of his best advices to parents was, don't spend money on personal trainers for your kids. Get them together in groups and use a group trainer to allow the kids to kind of play off each other and compete in the training as they kind of go forward. And that's how he's been applying his skill set throughout the time that he's been working. And Shelley has some insight on adding a nutritionist to our list. So Shelley, I'd love to pick your brain on this too. You probably don't even know that we did this, right? Like it was just something that we were trying. And I was working with Rack Coach, and Rack Coach is a software that high school coaches use to help orchestrate their strength and conditioning weight rooms. And so I developed this relationship with that group. They're out of Overland Park, and they asked me if I would put together the Parent Summit. And I didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know what they were doing. We put together 4 good speakers. Like I said, the nutritionist was a little bit just reading her notes, but besides that, she had great information and great quality. And what we thought was we should have 250, 300 parents there, if not, more. And that there's a really great opportunity to do that. So that's kind of led us to a focus at ShareWaves that I wasn't going to use today to share it with you guys because it's not quite ready for prime time, but we're targeting parents, teachers, and coaches with emotional, social, psychological skill sets, trauma-informed care training that will help them with the kids, knowing that they're on the front lines dealing with the mental health issues that a lot of these children are experiencing. Oh, awesome. We have Ruth joining us.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hi, Ruth. How are you?
I'm all right. I just, for some reason, was on my calendar at 12:30.
Well, I don't know if we need to do an icebreaker. I know Shelley and Natalie love icebreakers, but so far we've kind of been talking about, Paul and I have inadvertently met each other in a parent summit that we helped organize in April. Looks like Jason is there. And so I asked anyone who had they met Jason Holzer before, and Paul happened to be in the audience as one of the parents of a football player who was at the scouting combine. He came in the gymnasium, and we had 4 speakers presenting to parents about how to help their kids with sports and do a better job of using sports to help educate and transform our kids. And that's why Jason had met Paul before. So kind of a small world. We didn't even know there was a connection there, but kind of cool. And I think if we had a bigger group today, we could kind of go around and talk about what our favorite thing about summer is, or what's our favorite summer food. We kind of do that when we have a bigger group. But I think everybody knows each other, and we all are very familiar. I'd love to cut this meeting to about 30 minutes today and be done at 12:30. If we can, but having Ruth on, I'm just so excited to hear about how Camp Win went. So I'd love for her to share with us. And I know it's not on the agenda, Natalie. I apologize. I'm kind of hijacking. Yeah, but I've been wanting to hear from you, Ruth, on how things went. And it was your first Camp Win, of course. And the Kansas City Sports Commission has been doing Camp Win for quite a long time. And I'm sure that you were, not only did you enjoy doing it, but you probably learned a lot too. So how's it going?
Well, it was fantastic, I have to say. Thankfully, I walked into a program that was very well developed, as you point out, Bill. It's been going on for many, many years. And so the template is there. We did make some minor logistics adjustments. And so this year, I should say last year there was a push to expand the camp, and so they went 4 weeks, 5 days a week. And the feedback coming when I started, the feedback was absolutely not. That's not, just we need time to do the transition. Our camp is in 3 different, it's every week we move locations, so we've got to pack up, we've got to load out, load in. We need time to do the transition. 5 days is a lot to fill from a coaching standpoint. So from a format standpoint, we brought it back to 4 days. We did 3 weeks instead of 4, because last year when they went to 4, neither of the final 2 weeks were full. And so we basically said, we'll consolidate back. So our overall participation did go down just slightly. So we had about 725 girls over the course of 3 weeks. We had 300 each of the first 2 weeks. So it was the first 2 weeks of June. The third week, we had about 120 girls signed up. We expanded, we added about 10 to 15 more scholarship spots. So our scholarship ratio went up because our overall registration went down. But we doubled the number of scholarship organizations that we reached out to. And so we had a little bit more success this year, bringing in more kids that are specifically from KCPS. And then from a format standpoint, we have 4 sports per day in addition to our Live Active curriculum. All the coaches showed up. The kids had a fantastic time learning their different sports. We introduced a lot of new and interesting sports that kids, unless they've been to camp before, probably haven't experienced, like pound. I didn't even know what pound was. I had to go watch them because I don't understand. But it's basically aerobics with these half-pound drum, they're like drumsticks, and so there's a whole rhythmic component, and the girls loved it. So all in all, it was a huge success. There's definitely some lessons learned and some things we can do a little bit differently. I think our biggest challenge is making sure that how to fill that third week, or do we need to make an adjustment to the program overall, and just look at our urban core component a little bit differently, that maybe the week-long model in the middle of June isn't a fit when we're trying to attract students from the urban core. So that'll be a big part of our follow-up.
Again, Ruth, I'm anxious to sit down with you and talk more about this. Jason, how many kids did you impact this summer in your summer camp stuff?
So we have about, I don't know, I run an 11-week program at St. Teresa, and they're only for St. Teresa kids from like kindergarten to 8th grade. So we have on average 40 to 50 kids a week, but it's probably about 60 kids total in our program. But then also running breakthrough basketball camps, I had another 100 kids total probably between those camps as well. And with breakthrough basketball camps, we do a model of, it's either Friday through Sunday or Tuesday through Thursday, so 3 days, and we go 9 to 3. So it's 6 hours. And those are mostly for like 3rd grade and up. So those are not as long, but they're action packed. Like we do like 2-minute water breaks, 30-minute lunches, and then we are back at it going again too. So
well, with Lee Summit Parks and Rec hitting about 450 kids, you hitting about 150, and Ruth hitting about 725, that's well over 1,200 kids that this call alone has impacted this summer with physical activity and exercise. And I would say that's powerful, a powerful testament to who's on the call today, but also, the work that we're doing in this little sports sector as we move forward. I know that Animal Movements and Tony Temple, one of our partners who we're helping fund, has been at 5 different summer camps on a daily basis this week. This summer for he's doing an 8-week program, and he's impacted about 800 kids, and so it's really exciting to think that just the 4 of us plus Shelley and Natalie, obviously kind of guiding us through how we do this. The 4 of us on this call alone have impacted close to 2,000 kids with the work that we're doing, and I'd say that's a really big help. I also say that there's a lot more kids out there for us to impact too. So both sides are true. and congratulations to all of you for the work you're doing to impact kids with physical activity and exercise and sports in the summer, hot days of summer, keeping kids off the streets in a place where they can be safe, where they can grow and learn during the summer. And I'm really proud of the work that we did, just the small group here and the other people that are involved with the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. Anything to add, Shelley?
Besides nice work. Keep it up. Double the numbers for next year.
Bill, you're on, by the way.
We could have a poll out there for next month, include Adrian and just ask everyone who comes into the sports sector to kind of identify how many kids that they worked with this summer to impact with the power of physical activity and exercise and sports, and really make that something that we can kind of push out there with the mass media team this fall to say that this group is actually doing a lot of great work in a way that is unique and special. Maybe we push that out to Robin and see what he thinks. What do you think, Natalie?
Yeah, I'll bring it up to him. I think he'll encourage that.
I think you're back on mute, Bill, but I'm going to jump in because you
Okay, go
are. I think that's a great start for the next project that we're working on with the Aspen Institute. So if among this small group of people, you think there's an estimated 2,000 kids that are reached, that's an outstanding start in terms of trying to get information back for that state of play report we're working on.
I agree. That's fantastic.
Bill, if you guys want to, I can always send over, like, I have the 11-week program that we've built out at St. Therese for kids. And just if anybody's interested in looking about what we've done, what we've been doing here over the summers, about ideas we've done, field trips we've taken, just to kind of get some people a look on, what we do here with them as well too. So if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to share that as well.
Thank you, Jason. I think there's a lot of cross-pollination we can do with people's great ideas and thoughts that they're using and be able to learn from one another. So that's what this group is all about. Natalie, could you go ahead and put the agenda up for us that you've been working on? And I know that we want to do an Aspen Institute update. I don't think there's a lot to update because we skipped again this month on our meeting with Jennifer Brown Lerner. And I know we're going to give Jason about 10 minutes to talk. So
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
I've got one screen I'm working on. Usually I have 3, so I have all these tabs.
I'm just going to jump in here while Natalie's looking this up and tell her how much we appreciate her supporting this meeting today. She's actually on vacation.
Yes, I know.
So she's taking the time out of her vacation to make sure that this meeting still happens and we all get a chance to visit. So thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you,
Of course.
Natalie. All right, so we covered the introduction and group updates, right? The Aspen Institute State of Play. The next steps are to meet in early August. Shelley, do you have anything further from that? And I know that we kind of ran in.
I have no information on that. I really haven't been involved for whatever reason, and so
that's a really a Robin thing. He's definitely taken the lead on that negotiation and that connection and laying out the schedule. I know that early August we will meet again. We are all invited to be a part of that. I know he has asked several people in the city to be a part of our kind of our guidance team or advisory council that is going to help lead the way into welcoming Aspen to Kansas City. Is there anybody on the call that has not had, doesn't know what the Aspen State of Play is, or what we hope to do with that, and what other communities have done with their State of Play in order to impact their community with the knowledge and research that institute is kind of prides himself on? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, and then the Midwest Center of Nonprofit Leadership and headed up by the retired David Rentz is working on a physical activity mapping project within the community. Several of us have been involved in the advisory council and in the advisory group that's working with them to help identify where physical activity is happening in our city. A map that actually will show within the city where the most activity is happening, how it's happening and how kids are accessing it, and probably a lot more information that will have not only will be useful in our Aspen Institute research, but will be useful for us as we kind of guide our way through how physical activity can impact kids. Either of you, Natalie or Shelley, have any other update on the physical activity mapping project and where we're at with that and what the goal is there?
Last I talked to them, it's just taking them a lot longer to do the actual data entry and collection. There's just so many organizations. Once they're done, you guys should all be expecting an email and we'll reconvene that advisory board and kind of help them review the data. And I think they've got some questions that have come up during this process, so then we'll help guide them from there.
Awesome. Okay, well, they're very diligent and exhaustive with the way they think and look at this kind of thing, and I can't imagine what it is once they start getting, you start thinking about, not only physical activity like Gymboree and the Kansas City Ballet and the different dance groups and the different karate dojos and the different types of karate dojos and all the different things that kids are doing to be physically active. The one thing that I keep reinforcing with this idea that there's a ton of physical activity out there for kids is it is drawn upon a map where there's a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. And kids who have resources have physical activity. Kids who don't have resources, they might have access to some physical activity, but it's lower quality and it's not as effective and it doesn't meet the needs that the actual kids need. And if you think that, we have 18% of our community under the poverty line in our city, they can barely afford to eat and have shelter and have a safe place to lay their heads at night. You can imagine that means 18% of the kids out there aren't getting physical activity the way they need to, unless they are, relying on us, the community, to step up and provide, opportunities for them to play and to exercise and to be a part of sports without charging them. And so that's why the work that we're doing is so critically important, is there are so many kids that are going without, whether we think it is true or not. And I think that a lot of the community thinks that there's no problem with what's happening with our kids right now because there's so many opportunities, but there really are. And if you don't have to go very far and ask anyone who's involved in helping develop kids, they will tell you very point blank that we have some serious issues going on, and that the connection that happens with sports and physical activity and exercise is a critical piece to helping solve the problems that are happening in our kids' lives. Anybody agree or disagree with that? All right.
Yeah, I think access is a huge issue and
Well,
something we want to, I think that's our biggest goal here, in my opinion.
I agree, James. Thank you for joining us. And you're playing two different sector groups now, right?
Yeah, I have been the whole time, but now I'm in
That's-
charge of healthcare
Now
as
you're
of
in charge.
yesterday.
Oh, that's
So-
great. Well, James, Dr. Robertson just joined us. Thank you, Dr. Robertson. He has been a part of this from the very beginning, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. The Frontier Project, I don't know what that is.
I can talk about that a little bit.
Thank you.
We are looking for a focus group of community organizations that provide physical activity opportunities for youth and families. And we're going to be leading a group conversation with them to help improve systems at the hospital to help better refer and connect families to resources in the community to support physical activity. And we're going to have two focus groups. One's going to be in person at Harris Park on the 24th of July, and lunch will be provided. It'll be about 2 hours. And then if you're not able to attend that in-person option, there's also a virtual one on the 26th at that same time. If you would be willing to be a part of this focus group, we'd really appreciate it. And you can email me directly and I can get you set up with one of those meetings.
Awesome. If those of you that don't know what Harris Park is, it's a par 3 golf course in the middle of the hood in Kansas City. It's on 41st and Wayne, right off of the Paseo. Gentleman, Chris Harris, has taken 27 years out of his life to build a park for kids. And on one side of the street, he's got 8 lots that he's purchased over the course of 27 years, and he's cleared them all out. And on one side of the street, he's got par 3 golf holes where you can play, play golf, and it's a pitch and putt. And then on the other side, he's got a full court basketball goal with incredible gorilla goals that are there, and then a sand volleyball court, and then a community garden. And he does a lot of activations. He pretty much led all on his own, just getting help from the community to kind of carry this vision out. It is a really special place, and if you can make it in person, it's cool to see. So it would be good if we could get people there from 11 to 1 on the 24th. Natalie, I will plan on being there. Okay, let's bring up Jason. Jason Holzer with 40 Athletes is going to take 5 to 10 minutes to talk to you a little bit about the platform that he and his partner Jim Huber have created and what it is all about. And do you have something to put up on the screen to show? Or Jason, do you just want to talk?
I don't have anything. I mean, I could find something really quick, but I don't have anything
No.
specific.
Just share with everybody what
Okay.
you're thinking, what's happening, what
Yeah.
40 Athletes all about, why you have done 40 Athletes the way you have, and what your hope is for educating teachers, parents, and coaches on how to use sports to transform kids' lives.
And I can email everybody some like demo links, content, like that kind of stuff as well for people to check out and look at, kind of idea what we've done. But so first, let me give you some of my background. I've been a educator and baseball coach baseball coach for 13 years now. My first 7 years, I was with Guadalupe Centers in the inner city. My first 5 years teaching, I didn't have a gym at all. So I got bused back and forth from a community center. And even before that, so when I was a kid, I loved playing sports growing up, and it's always been a passion of mine. And so whenever I was 17, though, part of my other story is that I lost my dad to suicide. So there's a mental health piece of it. And so 40 Athletes was created as a mental health solution to coach parents, coaches, and athletes for ages 7 to 18 on things that will improve their mental, emotional, spiritual health. I mean, the physical piece of it's taking care of itself if you're involved in sports, but the goal is to create a holistic approach to sports from a spiritual. And when I mean spiritual, I don't necessarily mean it's like tied to a certain religion or anything like that, but more so of like, connecting with yourself within, developing like happiness, positivity, self-confidence, self-belief, those sort of things. And we've done that on a online content platform where we put online courses together for parents, teachers, parents, coaches, and athletes as well. And again, our big mission is, by 2030, we are transforming 100 million lives using sports as a catalyst to do so. And we've been working with Bill the last, 3 or 4 years as well on, what can we do to help better educate and bring better sports experiences for kids and for parents, because there's a lot of, even on the side of the, kids that are able to, have those opportunities, their experience with sports will still determine their mental health, because sometimes kids have, on the opposite end of it, there's too much pressure put on them to succeed. Parents spend a ton of money and they're going down a pipeline that probably isn't going to happen. Like if they're talking about a pro sport, there's 11,000 pro athletes in America, and there's 400,000 college athletes, and there's 8 million high school athletes. So the numbers drop significantly from high school to college, and then college to pro. So the likelihood that little Jimmy, little Johnny is going to make it all the way and be the, face of, the next Patrick Mahomes, is very unlikely. Most kids won't do that. But if we can teach them things like power of a positive attitude, if we can teach them things like courage, patience, relentlessness, things like that, that help them become great people, that help them become great spouses, that help them become great parents, great colleagues, great, you name it, great. If we develop the person first, then people like Children's Mercy are going to have better doctors. People like Paul are going to have better coaches for his program. People like Bill are going to have better, interns and people working with them on this whole space. So that was our goal, is to really educate. And my life mission is to make sure that before I die, that suicide, anxiety, and depression are irrelevant in our society. So I'm using sports as a catalyst to do that right now. I've also written a book as well, sharing my story, my mental health journey. So long as say, like, this is 40 Athletes is not simply just a business, it's a mission, to truly transform, kids, parents, and coaches' lives. Because we can get better coaches, and we can educate parents, and kids are gonna have a better experience with sports, and they're gonna have healthier mindsets, self-confidence that will translate in all areas of their life. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer to you, but that's kind of my, 5-minute rundown on the why and the what.
That's awesome, Jason. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Jason, or just want to maybe explore his website and kind of learn more about him? That's great. Well, we appreciate your time, dude. And one of the things that Jason and I are turning our attention towards, in a partnership between ShareWaves and 40 Athletes, is really finding the coaches out there that are looking for ways to engage with their teams in a more really holistic way, beyond the X's and O's, but in that space where kids become vulnerable and coaches become leaders and can really guide kids and become a touch point for kids that are not getting the support they need for the mental health issues that they're suffering from. There are over 10% of the kids in the United States are suffering from severe depression. That's 2.5 million kids, and 60% of them go untreated. So we don't have enough clinicians, psychologists, healthcare workers to engage with kids. I know that Children's Mercy Hospital has a huge mental health initiative around kids right now. I think $274 million has been dedicated to helping. I think 40 Athletes would be a great program for them to look at and invest in, and that's something that I want to try to talk with some of the groups that are involved in how you guys are thinking about spending the money that you have dedicated towards helping kids. Because I think that parents, teachers, and coaches are they're on the front lines, and if we can give them equip them with the skill sets they need to impact kids, we can really make a difference in kids' lives.
And Bill, can I add one more thing? We've also done a podcast, and Bill's been a guest twice. We have 109 episodes of different former pro athletes, thought leaders, some of the top coaches in college and pro as well, that have shared their, what they've taught people in sports beyond the game. So like winning in the game of life. So a lot of, like I said, and also sports performance psychologists, and you name it. So we've also got that as well for anybody that can just access and listen to it anytime.
Sweet.
Is that on your website, Jason?
I can send you all we have like a podcast website page that I can send you all, and it's not currently on our website right now, but I can send that to you though, Natalie, as well.
If you send me a link, I might put it in next month's newsletter.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Well, if there's
Jason?
no other questions, go ahead.
Well, since Bill brought up the potential connections to Children's Mercy, have you heard of Prepped and Ready or our Red Card bullying programs?
Was that what was just announced with Kevin Timmons and For the Kids? No, that's different. I think I've seen Prepped and Ready, but I'd love to see more of it.
Well, Prepped and Ready includes presentations that have been done by experts at Children's Mercy related to a variety of different topics. Some of them are around nutrition, some of them are around safety and injury prevention, some are around mental health. So these are videos that are accessible and, you know, usable by organizations such as yours to share information. There's also additional, or has been in the past when they had grant funding, additional programming that goes along with it. So for example, experts were able to attend some, let me say that differently, they're able to provide some of the presentations in person and share some of their resources. So for example, one of the videos is about gun safety, and they would share gun locks as part of that presentation. I don't know where they are in terms of their grant funding, the ability to have all of the requests that they have had, but it's
Sure.
certainly something that you might be interested in, and at minimum, something that you might want to share with those that participate in your programs.
That's awesome.
There is a tie-in to mental health and suicide prevention along with it. That's part of the role of the gun safety conversation. And
Good.
if you can, it's great conversation and explanation of why gun locks are important, regardless of your knowledge and familiarity with guns and having guns inside your home. So it's a really great video to watch yourself and share with others. There's information on eating disorders, prevention of eating disorders, a variety of other different things. And then the Red Card Bullying Program is a program that was done, I think with Jay, I don't know if sports medicine is involved with it, but it's in partnership with Sporting Kansas City. That's the red card, just like the red card on the soccer field. You know, you stop that behavior. And so when bullying occurs, the idea is that you pull out your red card.
That's
So there are
awesome.
resources along with that. And again, in the past, there has been some opportunity for experts to attend large group presentations. Their target was schools. So your program is a little bit different, but they may have the ability or have the interest in expanding to summer camp type programs, whether that's Ruth with Win for KC or Jason with summer camps that you're doing. They're really trying to hit, or I guess have a bigger bang for their buck. So come to where a large group of people already are gathered and then share information.
Shelley, in regards to the Red Guard program, I'm also the PE teacher at St. Teresa. It's like a school of 610 kids here in Parkville. So I might, if you could send me some information on that, I might send that to our principal and vice principals about that as well. So
Let me look that up. I just dropped a link to Prepped and Ready.
Yep.
In the chat. And let me see if I can't get the Red Card Bullying information to you
Okay.
as well.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you. We went a little over my half-an-hour goal, but I think it's amazing what a few people who care can do in a short time. I mean, I just really love this meeting today, knowing, how important it is that we gather the right people together and talk specifically about what it is that physical activity can do for kids and how that's happening, but how it still needs to happen more. So very excited about about this, knowing that can't wait till there's 20, 25 people on this call every month. So that's still my goal. And eventually I'm going to turn my attention towards recruiting the right people to get on the call. But if anybody has any friends that you think need to be on this call, please invite them. This is really an open format, and we can be a lot with a small group, mighty, but if we get a big group, we can really make the difference that the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan is trying to make, in its cross collaborative efforts. The final thing I wanted to say, and I sent this to Natalie late, so I don't think it didn't make the agenda, and it's not that big of a deal, but we will have over 800 kids at the zoo on the 18th from 8 a.m. until 11 PM doing animal movements and all kinds of fun activities. It's kind of the culmination of Tony Temple's work this summer at all the camps that he's engaged in and all the school districts that he's been involved in. I did send a flyer to Natalie. Did that come through, Natalie, the flyer I sent?
It did. It was just such a small image that I
okay.
couldn't blow it up where people could see it.
That's it's funny how nonprofits and small organizations have kind of struggle with PDFs and images and stuff, and it looks good in an email, but it doesn't quite blow up right. So I apologize. I can send it to you in a better way, and see if I can get it in a better format, and then maybe you can send it out afterwards to everyone. But
Okay.
it's animal movements at the zoo, which is the perfect place to do animal movements, obviously. And it's probably going to be hot, but kids are going to have a great morning. There's going to be a lot of energy there. Tony's going to be doing his thing. Shareways is going to have a booth there. I'm going to invite Jason to come too. So anybody's welcome. If you want to know more about it, reach out to me separately and I'll
Is that
help
from
you get.
8 a.m. to 11
Yes, sir.
a.m.?
AM. Yeah. And your
Okay.
kids are invited.
Okay.
What was the date on that?
The 18th, Tuesday, the 18th. If I could share my screen. Oh, I can share my screen. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Oh,
Can
that
you guys
works.
see that?
Of July 18th.
Yeah, Tuesday, the 18th, coming up.
Okay.
It's quick, sorry. And Ruth, if you want to bring Win for KC to the event, Tony would welcome you guys and we could work together on maybe doing something. There's not a lot of organization to it. It's kind of a free for all, but it's also going to be really fun. And the kids are going to, we have this great space to enjoy kids, and we're going to bring them together in different pods and different groups as they work their way through the zoo. And I don't know. So
Do they sign up? Are they signed up somewhere? Like I don't see a link.
that's a great question.
And so do you, I mean, where are the kids coming from?
They're coming from the camps that Tony has worked all summer.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he's worked he's worked the upper room camps, and he's worked a couple of other camps, and then he's bringing them all together at the end. And it's real grassroots. So like I said, it's as sophisticated as we can be with the amount of money that we have and how we do things. Just the idea that there's going to be 800 kids showing up at the zoo on Tuesday morning is kind of fun. We're going to have video out there. We're going to capture it, tell the story, but he's going to have a space for vendors. I think he says he has vendors coming and different things like that. So I can learn more and send out an email to everyone and kind of give you more details. I can talk to Tony a little later today and maybe put out an email to everyone through Natalie.
Yeah, I'm not sure we would, just with this turnaround, I'm not sure that I'm already committed to something that morning. In terms of being able to go out and promote camp, the timing is a little off for us.
I get it.
But it sounds like a really interesting event. I was looking at, I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to volunteer and just see all the kids doing their.
Well, I apologize. I should have probably had this out in June, but I don't think he had it ready in June. So he actually just messaged me, 4 days ago saying, do you have money to help me? So I was like, oh. So anyway, it's like I said, it's very grassroots, and he's a really great heart, and he's working really hard to impact kids, and I'm really proud of the work that he's doing. But we are underfunded in all of these spaces. And I know Win for KC feels it. We feel it. Jason feels it. I'm sure that even the Parks and Recs feel it. So it's part of the priorities we've made as a culture, and that's okay. But we also have to fight for these kids. So I'm really appreciative of all your time and the energy. It really lifts me up and makes me feel more motivated to do the work. And Ruth, like I said, I think we need to get together. Shelley, I'd love to get together with you and really have some more focused conversation on things that are happening and how we can collaborate better.
I've got one more thing, Bill, before we finish too.
Excellent.
Okay, Robin wanted me to remind everyone about our implementation project applications that you can apply for funding for. As a sector, we have over $12,000, or each sector has to spend. And because some of the sectors haven't used all theirs and aren't going to by the end of the year, we might have more available to us. And we, as a sports sector, we haven't had a lot of applications, so we still have some money to give to some people. And that being said, Adrian submitted an application to us for his youth sports programming. I guess unfortunately this summer they ran out of funding and weren't able to offer it as long as they had hoped. So we'll be reviewing that as a sector to see if that's something we want to push up to the core work group and see if we want to fund that, and then at what amount of money we're going to potentially offer them. I'm looking at it now though, and I think I'm going to go back to him and ask for a few clarifying questions, because I have some, so I think it won't be, I think everyone in this group might have questions too. So I think at our next meeting, we'll review it as a group.
And I'll have one ready for next time too for you.
Okay.
We're working on a softball field for the Kansas City Girls Academy with North Point Foundation, and they've come up with $25,000, and Shareways has committed to matching them. And so I'm not going to ask for the whole 25, but if I could get a small grant from the sports physical activity plan, that would be great. So I'm putting that together. Can you send me a link to the application just so I have it at the
Sure.
top of my inbox?
Or if anyone else needs it, I can also
Yep.
email it to you.
Yeah,
okay.
send it to Jason and send it to Ruth.
Yeah, I actually have it. I took a look at it. I was interested in potentially for our Strong Girls initiative, because there's some activities that we're trying to bring back into the Kansas City footprint. Right now, we have a youth program, a youth mentoring and sport program that's being run out of the KU campus in Lawrence, and we've been trying to figure out how to get it back inside the Kansas City footprint. And so actually Natalie and I had talked a little bit, and she sent me the application. I met with the UMKC folks yesterday and learned a little bit more about their Move More, Get More plan, which is in a similar space, because we were talking about, is there a collaboration opportunity there? So I need to process through everything that they shared with me, and how, because it that where that program has developed into, it actually will impact my strategy for how we approach Strong Girls, because they're in the same space. And so that's kind of been the delay in me filling out my strategy, filling out a program outline for Strong Girls implementation within Kansas City. So they do have it on the radar, but I'm needing to take a step back and approach it a little bit differently based on yesterday's conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ruth, did you have any questions about the application as you were looking at it?
I just glanced at it really quickly. So not at this time. I do remember thinking I wanted, there probably are some things I need some clarification on, but I don't recall what they are without looking at the form again.
Yeah, so the general process is just like you'll submit the application to the best of your ability, and then the sector will review it. And then if like they have any questions, they'll help strengthen it, and then we'll submit it to the core work group.
So just as a general question, does it need to be for a youth program, or if there was an adult initiative, is that something that would be eligible as well?
I think that's
Yes.
our sector.
Adult works, yeah.
Yeah, adult works. We have used this, our core group, the sports sector, has agreed that we're using sports to connect kids to physical activity as kind of the primary purpose of this sector. But we also think that sports connects adults too, and that we want to go through adults to get to kids as much as we can. And we also think that sports and adults works too. So we've had Luke Wade on from from Casey Crew, and they're targeting adults, and they haven't asked for money, but they're part of our group, and we are excited that they use sports to connect millennials to one another and to connect Kansas City to together. So yes, adults work too.
And then do the funds need to be used by the end of the year?
Use it or lose it. No, I don't think it's that. I think, but because the other sectors haven't used their allotment, there's more in the pot. So there's 10 sectors, right, Shelley? So there was a $120,000 grant given to the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. They divided it up into 12,000 per sector, and about 4 or 5 sectors have actually used their allotment. So there's a large number, and I'm sure that Shelley would be able to answer the question whether or not it runs out or we have to use it by the end of the year.
You do not need to use it by the end of the year.
Yeah. So, but if we come up with really cool stuff, we all can, use our money to impact kids with sports or adults with sports, then let's do it, because that's why we're here. And the worst they can do is say, no, you've used too much, or you've overused.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Anything else, guys? We went an hour. Look at us. Sorry about that. All right. If there's no other comments and nothing else, then I move that we adjourn our meeting. Not that we run under Robert's rules, but I hope you all have a